Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dan around Yak Ben. We have a fantastic show for you. Some April 28 bans were reverted, so awesome. Epilogue story for All or Nothing episode, and the Friendships campaign returns for 2019, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow hosts. She's an editor at Guildmag, writes for MMORPG.com, and also her own site, MMORly.com. In honor of Sad Ritlock, can we get a Sad Ritlock worthy roar? Say hello to Robin. That is perfect. Put that into the story somehow. They get fan art. Let's have fan Foley work. There you go.
Yes,
the next stage.
That would be so cool.
That would be dangerous.
It would be.
I just got a remembering a back of like what early on when Bog Otter did his like joking Foley stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah, those were so
I could just
great.
even imagine
the bad Foley videos. Those were awesome. Oh, I miss those.
So there you go, Arena. There's the next avenue. You kind of did it at the one convention too. They had people come up on stage. So there you go. Fan Foley work.
Yep.
I don't know how you'd pull it off, but good luck.
Be amazing.
And he streams over. That's me. I do stream, but now he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question with the ban wave correction. What will he do with all his returning fodder to thief upon? Say hello to Age.
I don't know.
There you go, exclusive.
That's my answer. Hi.
All right.
Oh hey, Age is the commander now. Aw.
I am the captain.
You said I don't know.
Oh, I was like, what?
I got it. Nice.
All right. Well, I guess you kind of Arlie brought this up at the last minute. Like, I guess we didn't see it till soon. So I think this would actually be a good spot since you kind of did say that.
Right.
This week, and we're not gonna get too heavily into. We're going have spoilers in this stuff, so if you are a little iffy on this is kind of like your warning if you haven't watched it since or played the game since. I mean, I definitely recommend it, but apparently in a German interview, ArenaNet has confirmed that Zojja?
Jojo?
We got Mojo Jojo in the game. Wow, I cannot talk today. Confirms that Zojja is still recovering, and they also kind of talked a little bit about some bits with the possible new weapon types in the future. But
right.
I know a lot of people were wondering about the whole Zojja thing with the story. And
right. The interesting thing that I found was that they talked about how Logan was more so. What Mordermoth did was basically put him in the pod and was like sucking out what makes him strong so he can use that in their things.
They could kind of make like clones of them.
Right. And because of that, like Logan's strength obviously is not his brain, but is his strength of body, his physical ability. So that's where he was hurt the most. Zojja is more of a mental, like her mind kind of character. So her mind was what was really hurt, and that's what she's struggling with recovering. And they kind of explained it as in brain injuries, like in real life, where it's often that you can recover physically faster than you can recover from a brain injury. Those usually take a lot more time and are more difficult to deal with.
It'd be nice if they put that somewhere in a Living Story episode. Just
right.
like you could just casually put that
Mention
in.
it.
It's like
though it makes sense if it was taking on their eating on their strengths. Logan did come out limping. He couldn't run.
He was gonna come up somehow.
Yay. Yay.
Couldn't resist.
Yep.
But we figured we'd just let people know that they did talk about that. But it was also kind of interesting that they did talk about like future weapons and stuff.
Right.
And
I think it was Mike Z who mentioned that and said that the main reason they haven't done it yet is because with the elite specs, they felt like they could add more unique things with the existing weapons that they already have. So they haven't really felt the need to add new ones because there were still new things that they could add to the existing professions. But that they're not against adding new weapon types when the need arises.
Like a land spear. And look, that's a perfect transition because it's not like a new weapon, but it will be like a new land weapon. So it's like it exists in the game. They have the character, the models for it, but they could make it like in a new way. So there you go. That's a good transition to new weapons. I don't know. I'm trying to get us land spears.
Right.
Battle axe.
But yeah, no, it was interesting. It's a fair point too, because also thinking about moving forward with elite specs, we've talked some about the power overlapping of each new one and how that works. But it's also a fair point that if they keep going the way they will, every class will be able to use everything. Which, I mean, there's good in things, and the way the weapons work between each profession is different. So it's still like a warrior using, I don't know, a great sword is not the same as a mesmer using a great sword, kind of thing. Yeah. They have their own way of using those things.
Well, and I think that's the interesting thing, and people are saying, like Chad's even saying, I've seen this brought up millions of times, is warriors running out of non-magic weapons. Well, engineer certainly has a long way to go, but yeah, like in the case of warrior, it's like, why can't they use like the scepters, but almost use them as like what are those like?
Bash them with the scepter.
Well, then it's like a mace. But I was thinking like almost like the are they called like scrima sticks or something like that? They're like they're using them like martial arts or like, but like almost using them along those lines.
Yeah,
they're just really fancy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like even you're saying like the mesmer doesn't use the great sword the same way the warrior does it. The mesmer basically uses it as like a thing to channel its magic through. So why can't use focuses like oh god, I think I've said it before, a fist weapon spec for a warrior that uses like just the focus, all the focus skins. Oh my god, 2 beers like ale steins, like oh my, ArenaNet, please.
Deo wants to be able to wield beer steins and bash people in the face.
The greatest focus skin ever. I mean,
he wants to embody Norton culture.
Yes.
Right. So then Deo would be like dual wielding beer steins with the brewery back on his back. And
if he could have like what are the beer hats there?
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a Guild Wars 2 version of that.
Right.
I mean, if you ArenaNet, I'm no marketing expert, but if you want to sell an expansion to at least one person,
there you go. But
yeah, no, like, and I think that's the thing is people kind of weirdly get stuck on that where it's like, well, they don't have magical, like as much magical abilities as the other classes. Like, well, other classes are using regular weapons as magical instruments, like
but like a staff doesn't necessarily have to be a magical weapon, like
we saw it with the thief.
It's more like staff is more like to me when it comes to magic, it's like staves and scrolls and things like that are more like conduits for magic. Like kind of like a tool to enable you to more easily use magic versus like just hand movements and that type of thing.
Which makes sense, like people are saying with the offhand focus. I mean, that's the name of the item as a focus. Like it's not like they're channeling, like they're literally using that to channel their power through it. That's not reliant on that in theory. Granted, in the game it is, because if you don't have that weapon equipped, you don't get those skills. But
and there are obviously magical weapons that have like Excalibur, I guess, could be considered a magical weapon. It's not exactly one for wizards, I guess, but
magical properties.
Magical properties. There you
go. Like Chat says, that should be the tagline for when the warrior gets focused, like fist weapons.
Right.
I'm gonna focus my fist into your face. That is, there you go, Rena. We did all the hard work. Now you do the easy stuff. Flick the switch so we can get the. That's how Deb.
Push the button. It's a button, actually.
Oh, it's the button. Okay.
Yeah.
How about weapons just float around you and you use your fists? And see that I think that's what I like about it, especially with. I mean, we say like warrior doesn't have like magical aptitude. They have to have something to be a spell breaker. I mean, they are creating these force fields or these fields of anti-magic. It's magic.
Right. Anti-magic's not magic. What are you talking about? Crazy.
I feel like we're getting into like a science debate of like antimatter. Like it can't exist. And,
that is exactly what I was thinking.
They did in last episode of Fairy Tale, I think. They had an anti-magic person. Anyway.
No. Now we can get into anime. Yay!
The only martial weapon left for warrior's pistol. Yeah, and honestly, I mean,
I thought warriors could use pistol.
I keep saying main hand shield. But
yeah, Dayo's been saying that for a long time too.
I think everybody has dual wield shields.
Not everybody. Some of us recognize that dual wielding shields is dumb.
Fine. I want the great sword version of a shield. I want a two-handed shield so the person just like picks up and bashes the person in the face with it. Where's Green Lantern today? He wasn't feeling good well, but dumb like
a fox. I like that hat.
But anyway. We kind of want to just throw that out there since we caught it. Them saying that Zojja is still in the universe. They haven't forgotten about her. So, but
you want to bring up the DPS meter thing?
Oh, we can, sure.
It was Mike Z again saying that people are continuing to ask for a DPS meter. And he was just saying that they respect the desire of those who want it, but like they've been saying, that it's not something that's generally needed in the game, and the reason they put in the DPS golem was to help with that, so people can test out things in game. They don't feel like a DPS meter is really needed in the game as a whole, which
I would like to hear people's opinions, especially if you are like maybe a hardcore raider or something. I know we've talked about this in the past but
I don't mind. I just find them extremely annoying when people's games crash because of the damn meter.
Right.
And we're in the middle of a fight, and it's like, oh, you're doing so well. Damn it.
There we go. If they want their DPS meter, it's kind of like the commander tag. Make it like a 300 gold purchase.
Right.
I would like a build template first.
Yeah, I would say build templates way before any DPS meter, because build templates would be useful for pretty much anybody who ever changes things about their gear and shit. So.
And QD raised a good point. That's how a lot of people do play the game is, by having the best numbers or getting the best out of their character.
Right. Yeah. And I play WoW and I love the logs. Going through our logs and all of that is one of the things that I adore. I love data. I love having lots of data to shift through and being like, oh, that's cool. Look at that neat thing. That's one of the things I like. But I feel like if they could provide that in some way so that people could upload things to some external source and do that, that would be better than an in-game DPS meter, in my opinion.
If we could export our combat log, I guess that would be okay.
Yeah, the ability to export the combat log, I think, would be a bigger help for people who raid and want that kind of feedback, because you can do that kind of stuff live. It needs to be set up. Somebody would have to set up a website and all of that to do it, which people did for Final Fantasy 14 when they made that stuff available as well. So I'm sure somebody would do it. And then you can even get even more, like, because the other thing is people focus so much on DPS, which, yeah, it's important, but there's a lot of other things that go into those fights that matter than just your raw DPS, like doing the mechanics correctly. And looking at logs, you can be like, oh, well, you know, our DPS might have been a little low, but we were also taking a lot of damage from this thing, which we should be avoiding, and let's deal with that better. So I feel like that would be a bigger and better help for the raid community in general than a DPS meter.
And first, I'm kind of interested how chat did say, like, it's just too bad it doesn't work in SPVP. Like, they do have a lot of golems out there. I wouldn't mind them slapping one of those, like one of the ones in that can track it, like this one.
Right.
You know,
yeah, that would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I am interested of.
They don't have one in the SPVP lobby, like.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't have one in there, which they have 100 other types of golem things to test stuff on, but I am interested. Chat did bring up, and not having the numbers often results in toxic mainstream behavior, which you kind of usually hear the reverse.
Right. I mean, it can go both ways.
Yeah.
You can have someone doing extremely well. Like you could pug and be doing extremely well and you get kicked. Like, let's say you're playing something like not meta, but you're doing better than everyone else, obviously.
Right.
See that in your like arc DPS, but they'll kick you anyway.
Huh. That's weird. Why?
I don't know. It happens.
Because you're not running something meta, apparently, and people tend to be lazy gamers.
Yeah.
The majority, like, the vocal majority, not everybody.
Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. It would be kind of nice. It's yeah, and that's kind of the point. Like, you get kicked. They don't see the numbers of what.
Yeah, they don't know what's actually happening, so they just assume that the person not meta is the problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I meant by that.
Okay.
But if there was, it's really hard to say now because like Arc DPS exists, everyone has access to it. People can put it to the game, so whether they want to use it or not, it's up to them. Whereas if it was like put in the game, that's time investment that they have to put in and maintain it.
Right.
So it's I don't know. It's kind of weird in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to know in case you are just maybe starting into raiding or maybe new to Guild Wars 2 is, there is a mod, an add-on or mod, whatever you want to call it, Arc DPS, that you can use it, and they have said it's okay. It's not like it's not like they're saying this and they make it so there's no way to have a DPS meter. I mean, so like kind of Age is saying, there is the option out there. Granted, you have to do a little extra, but I mean, that's kind of how WoW was. I mean, and then they added an add-on system to make it a little bit easier, but did they ever implement it fully? I don't know.
It's the other thing about like the in-game DPS meter. There is no real in-game DPS meter in WoW. It's an add-on. Difference is it's harder to do add-ons for Guild Wars 2 than it is for WoW. There's no big add-on community for many reasons. But like, I'm trying to think of any MMO that has a built-in DPS meter, and I'm not coming up with one.
Yeah.
Does Final Fantasy have one?
Nope. They use the exporting of the combat logs. I think there might be a mod for one. I haven't looked recently, but it's not by default in the game, I don't think.
Yeah. It's
and QD, you bring up a good point, and that's kind of what we were saying, is as long as ArenaNet opinion about Arc DPS doesn't change. Right. And I would have to say on that note, the people that make Arc DPS also can't start randomly putting in stuff that maybe reads like, as long as it stays consistent to what it's doing now, hopefully Arena doesn't change their philosophy on it. And if so, I feel like they would really have to at least have some kind of plan in the works
Right.
of we're doing our own now, or an
Right.
official side app, or whatever. But
I have they have built templates in our DPS too.
Mm-hmm. Anyways,
oh,
but yeah.
but yeah. So that was an article that came out. It looks like from buffed.de. So we'll throw the link
the
in
DE
the.
just is a delineation. That's a
Yeah.
German website.
Sorry. But the link will be in the description if you want to read it yourself, or we'll also post the Reddit one where people are discussing kind of with it translated already. But yeah, moving from that to, like we were saying, like kind of what we were hinting at, ArenaNet randomly banning people.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we talked about this back in like April 2018, I think, or right around there, where there was a bunch of players banned. I think the original, I forget what the original post was saying. It was something like
Vindicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, long story short is apparently a bunch of innocent players are now unbanned.
Right. Because there's a whole thing that people were like, they misapplied this, blah, blah, I shouldn't have been banned, blah, blah, whatever. And it's always difficult that because nobody, like, you never have any proof that you were wrongly banned. Like, it's even like to think about that, that's a hard thing to provide, like to prove that you didn't do something,
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where a lot of people were like, yeah, sure, whatever. If they made a mistake, they'll fix it, which they did. But also it's like, what, 8-9 months later?
Yeah,
That's, I mean, I understand it takes a long time to research these things and go through stuff and figure all of this out, but it still sucks.
Though while it sucks, at least I feel like they did give people some compensation, which it was the people that were banned for this amount of time. They received episodes 1 through 5 for the Living Story season 5, and 2,500 gems.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, it's nice that it's like, hey, in case you were going to be planning on playing this, we're not going to make you, buy the chapters, because that would have been kind of a bad thing to do.
Yeah. The chapters is a big thing because, like, if you had been playing, you would have already gotten those for free, and it's not their fault that they didn't get to play. So, yeah.
There was one comment in one of the threads that I read that was very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of had me thinking about it if I were put in the situation. And there was one person actually got their account back after this ban thing, but he's not going to be playing anymore just because he stopped playing with his wife and I believe a friend or something like that. And it's just like we moved on already. So
right.
And that definitely happens.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like 9 months is a long time for people to not find a new thing,
Yeah, and like kind of like what Chat's hinting at is like it wasn't like for this 9 months they were researching and like looking into it, making sure everything was okay. They kind of did, as most games do, thought they were, correct. So they were like, all right, but there was so many things like people kind of asked them to look into it, and they finally did. So it's not like in that 9 months they were like, hey, we're looking into this and like making sure everything. So like you're saying is like you hear nothing from them. It's like, okay, I got banned, time to wash my hands of it, type of thing. So I can understand people not coming back, especially when you did get wrongfully banned. I mean, it's like, how do I know this isn't going to happen again? Like,
yeah, it really sucks. But
yeah, it's difficult because like setting up those kind of things to catch people doing various stuff, like there's always room for error no matter how careful you are. And sometimes like you can look at things and double check them and be like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. That works. That should be working right. But it just like can still be not quite right. And there can still be false positives. So like you always have to be willing to look into stuff, which takes a lot of time, which is a whole other thing, but it's rough. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
And it's good that one person actually used GDPR to actually get his logs, because he's allowed to actually see that information.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if like he saw a hash code that represented an empty string or something like that. I don't know if that was the false positive per se, but I wouldn't, because like I don't know what they found, obviously.
Right. We don't know what the issue actually was.
Or because they just like that hash, like I don't know. It feels like it's weird to flag someone because of an empty string.
Right.
That's just odd for me.
But like, what was it that they were trying to catch in this? Was like, is it like gold trading or like selling or something like?
Basically third-party applications that were not supposed to be used.
Because
the thing there is like we don't
over like ARC DPS and stuff like that. And...
Right. We don't necessarily know what links people go to hide. Well, not your average person using a third party, whatever, but like people who regularly do this shit, like what they go through to hide the fact that they're using these things and all of that. I mean, there could be something where like an empty string is something that, you know.
It's I don't know. Like in a coding perspective, like I just see that as like, wow, that's a really big miss if that's actually it. Because I've been working on something that I was fixing something for users, and I don't know. That feels like, because I spent a month on a solution to fix something, and it's I don't know. I guess I'm really, really picky about like things like that, so I can absolutely have like a 5% false positive, if anything. So it's just interesting that if it was indeed an empty string, that would be the case. It's just odd for me, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say what it was, what it wasn't. So, but I do want to ask you guys, if you guys were the one who got banned in April and you got your account back today, what would you do?
No. I honestly couldn't even imagine. Like, I don't know. It's a long time.
It would have made for an awkward show.
Right.
Be like, hey, I got guys, that living story sounded great. I wish I could have been in it.
Right.
But if I wasn't doing a show, I've said in the past how I've kind of resorted to only being playing the episodes, and I do like to play them in like when they first released. It probably would have been like, and you know, kind of coming out with the Living World stuff, how it's like television. I probably would have been in that spot where I'm so far removed from it at this point where I'd be like, maybe I'll jump into it one day, because you know I would have my account back, which would have been free. I would have had the episodes there for free. I probably been like, maybe I'll try going back into it at some point, but it wouldn't be a high priority. Like that kind of happened to me with Doctor Who a little bit. I lost BBC America at one point. I'm like, I'll catch up with it, and then eventually other things filled that gap, and I'm like, eventually was like, I'll someday maybe sit down and watch them all in one big swoop, but I wasn't like invested into the lore, the story anymore.
Right.
So I personally probably wouldn't have. I probably would have been one of the people like moving on as well.
Yeah, so thinking about it, I would be in the same boat, and like I would want to go back and play the story to catch up because I always liked the story, but like I also wouldn't feel the immediate, and I have to imagine if that happened in the meantime, like there's always more games than I have time to play. So more than likely, if I lost access to Guild Wars 2, I'd go, okay, and I'd just start playing Final Fantasy 14 more often, And then 9 months later, I'd probably be more invested in that game. So then when this came back, I'd be like,
Yeah, it wouldn't be a high priority for like as high of a priority as normal, but yeah, chat's saying they don't think they would play it again after 9 months. And people might be angry about it. And that would be my other thing is like, and like I got kind of like said before, is like, how is this not going to happen again? Or like,
right.
Well, if they found the issue that caused the false positive, they'll fix it, obviously.
Right. But
yeah,
I mean,
they found that false positive.
I was going to say there could always be a different issue that causes the same problem in the future. That's the risk you always take. And yeah, what Mofongo Jones was saying about PvP players would just make a new account, and I'd be like, yeah, that's great for them. But for me personally, like I have so much on my one account. I have one account. So like there's so much there and tied up with it for me that I don't like the concept of making another account is just no.
Yeah, and that's why they were saying from a PvP standpoint where it is kind of you don't need skins or anything like that,
right.
Or you might not earn as many skins as just playing straight PvE. Yeah, I predominantly pretty much play PvE, sometimes World, and everybody knows I don't play PvP. But
wait, what?
I know it's a shocker. Spoiler alert, everybody. But yeah, I'm kind of with Arlie on that. Like all the skins that I got, I wouldn't start over. And yeah, I know so many people that buy multiple accounts. That's probably one reason why I don't. I'd be like, but they don't have all the skins, like.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. People have one main account for like they have all the stuff on, and then they have multiple accounts for like gathering laurels or gold.
Right.
More often than not, unless they do have a second account for fun. I don't know.
Unless you are just crazy.
Like Salisi.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And I definitely understand that mentality, like that chat's bringing up is they wouldn't touch the game again because they would have lost any trust they had in ArenaNet. Right. I don't know. I guess I'm over that kind of stuff of like, oh, like devs betrayed me or something. It's like they're trying to make their product great and make money. There's mistakes. In any career, everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately,
it's not like it was a targeted thing. Like they didn't say this guy, screw this guy. Yeah,
but like I can see where he's coming from. So let's say like if I got banned and I put like what I do, and it's like you use third-party software. It's like I don't use third-party software. Like please look into this. And they said no. It's like, and then 9 months later, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we were wrong. It's like what? But I said. That's the type of thing.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I would have that mentality of like, is this never gonna happen again? Like what? Like, because it's great that you're giving me like the episodes. And it's like, oh, nothing happens. It's like, well, yeah, no, I still lost 9 months of game time. Like, it's like,
I think last year was a bit different because that was around the time where like a lot of people were making third-party software just because like kind of the floodgates open a bit because hey, we'll allow this unless you have to follow XYZ,
right?
Things like that. So maybe that's why that ban wave happened and it hit so hard. I can't say it won't happen again, obviously, but
and that's one thing I'd like to maybe even hear from ArenaNet, not just as someone that not. Like, if I was affected by it, I would have liked to hear some kind of response. But even maybe in light of this is, hearing what are they going to do anything going forward to maybe establish like triple check or like trying to make sure to minimize false positives as a system, like instead of because I know that's the problem is. I know leading up to it, it's like, oh, you guys accidentally banned my account. And then they're like, well, no, here's clearly you doing these things. Like, we have all the files. And people are like, oh, you got slammed. Like, ha, ha, ha. Like,
right.
And now people that...
Most of the people who proclaim they're innocent aren't actually innocent. They're just like,
Yeah, so I know leading up to this, they're probably like, yeah, whatever. I know you didn't do it, but then in reality they didn't, and now it comes out. So, while it's horrible, I'd like to hear something like they would take all those kind of as a serious thing and not maybe. And I don't know behind the scenes if they do or they don't, but I know if I was in that situation, it's kind of the was the kid who cried wolf situation where it's like, you always hear the same thing. I didn't do it. It was my brother was on my computer. Whatever
right.
excuse you hear.
Yep.
But then it hits those situations like this one where it clearly wasn't the players that were in the wrong.
Right.
Yeah. I'm actually interested in we'll never find out, but I'm interested in how many accounts that were wrong.
Right.
Because if it was like, let's say 50 people, that honestly to a company that unfortunately it's a negligible number. Like for me personally, I would hate to see like, oh shit, 50 people are screwed and I need to fix this. Like that's how I feel personally, but
well, he's just throwing out a number QED for just, he wasn't saying that it was 50 people, but
yeah, I'm just giving like a number, right?
They have a number in mind, like even in research, like they call it the power, like you're setting your power. How wrong are you willing to be, basically? And that's
yeah.
I just, because like some companies will take a hit, right, in order to like proceed with something. But in this case, this hit was like they rectified it later when they realized, oh, we actually did this badly. But it's kind of like the risk reward. I don't know at the time what was the idea behind it. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, like
right.
projects, things like that. But there's a lot that factors into it.
Right. The other thing is like, so the easy thing to say is that they shouldn't be doing these mass bans of having things to auto check for stuff. They should be checking on their own. But the problem with that is finding every single person doing this stuff and researching of it. That's extremely time consuming, and going through everybody's individual accounts. Like that's insane, like literally. But then when you do these mass bans, you've got to be able to go back and double check those individually, which again is a big time investment to look at. But then at least you're starting with a smaller pool of just the people who got banned rather than everybody in general. You have to have like a two-step there anyways.
From my experience, it would be like you ban X amount of people, and then people who feel like they're wrongfully banned will call in customer service, and then that's how you start with a certain number of people.
Right.
And then go back and look at the rest.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, this is just me, like I don't know how feasible it is or not or anything, but I feel like there's the problem with that because some percent of the people banned who are innocent, I feel like would not even call. They'd be like, all right, well, fuck it, I'm done. Because it's not worth the hassle to them. And then you've lost a customer, you've lost a revenue stream, all of that. I almost feel like the ideal way to do it is to get your list of people who should be banned and then check it. Of course, in the meantime, while you're checking it, these people who popped up and who are actually breaking the rules are continuing to break the rules, and it's slower. But I feel like long term was a people relation thing, that would be a better way to do it.
I agree with that, and I feel like they would do that because they don't want to lose people, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe they did triple check their
I don't know.
But the false positive like seeped through that.
Right.
That's from my experience, I think that's what happened.
Right. So like they were checking the data, and according to the data they had, it was positive, and they didn't know what to look at for the false positive because they didn't know there was a false positive, essentially.
Exactly. And then when a bunch of people call in, it's like, oh, what the heck is happening?
Right.
It's like, hey, something's wrong. We gotta
Something went massively wrong.
yeah. So that's when you go back and say like, oh no. Yeah. So just from like what I've experienced and like from what I understand and what I'm thinking the process might have been. That's all I'm going off of.
Yeah, it's a problem too because like we've talked about this before with Curse Clary and why like he won't sometimes say specifically what they do and do not allow because or how they check for stuff. You can't give too much information because if you give too much information, it gives people who are bad and want to break the rules and cheat and stuff more information in order to get away with it. So like there's a balance. They can only tell us so much, you know?
Yeah.
And in chat saying even with the numbers, and I know the number was like around like 1,600. I didn't know about how many people were saying they got their account back was like 150. And yes, if that is like right around 10%, I will admit with the field I came from with psychology and medical and stuff, 10% of a failure rate would be horrible. I don't know how it is in the
that's still that's pretty high.
Yeah,
that's pretty high for the number of people that are banned.
Right.
I feel like that could have been checked like over a month anyway.
So yeah, I was gonna say I know if I had a 10% fail rate in any kind of research thing, I would have probably got slapped. They would have been like, "Why did you continue with this?
This is a terrible experiment. What were you doing?"
Or they would go, "You're calling this a success."
Yeah. I like to have
and that was the thing. I was gonna say, did a dev say that, or is that just people accumulating what people have said they've gotten their accounts back? Which
you can. It's hard to go by that because you have to assume people are honest, and people aren't always honest, especially on the internet.
Yeah, assuming that the numbers are all right, that's still a pretty significant.
In the end, ArenaNet knows the numbers of it, and if it was 10%, then I would say that is a bad
it's real
rate,
bad.
And hopefully they would look into some type of system to better improve that.
Yeah. The devs won't say. The devs won't say how many. Like,
I wouldn't have imagined they wouldn't have, but yeah. So I know a lot of people are kind of saying like the compensation, the episode 1 through 5, and the 2,500 gems was not enough. Do you guys? And if you guys were in that situation, do you think that would have been enough? And I think people have done the math. It comes out to how much in-game gold? Like, was it 300 or 500 gold?
Here's the thing, though, right? I agree from a certain player's standpoint. It depends what you do, right? So let's say, for example, QED was banned and he got his account back. That's weeks he wasn't raiding. That's weeks he wasn't getting gold and ascendant and things like that. That's just an example. For me, I do daily logins every day. So that's laurels I'm missing, gold I'm missing. Like, I understand that, but it all depends on the type of content that you do.
Right.
So I don't know if ArenaNet knows that information. So like, it's really hard to say.
Well, also, and like, there's so many people, they're not tailoring the thing to each person. They're just
they're not going into the account going, you don't have the Veil Guardian achievement, you're getting 500 gems and that's it.
Yeah. Like, the living story chapters, like I said, that they absolutely should have done without question, like 100%. The gems are nice. But the other thing is like it took away time for you. It's like, it's kind of like, I hate to use this analogy, but I'm going to full steam ahead anyway. But it's kind of like, when somebody's been wrongly imprisoned and then you free them, how do you make up for that? You can't really make up for that because you can't give people back the time that they would have had that they missed out on. There's only so much you can do. So
you try to acclimate them back into the environments.
Right. The only thing they really can do is just give some stuff. Like the gems, I think, were a really nice bonus. 2,500 gems is a fair amount of gems. So like but the question is what the time is valuable to you, what you missed out. Like I was saying, for me, it would be less about like what they gave me to make up for it, more as what I found to do in the meantime and all of that. So it varies from person to person. And I don't think there's really an amount of things that they could do to be enough unless they went to each person's account and was like, okay, if this person had kept up the activities that they
Like
usually
extrapolate,
did
like
for
trying
them,
to
then,
reach out the
yeah,
data and
right, which would be, I'm sorry, a bit insane for them to do.
hey, I'm looking for a better job, Arena. If you want me to come over there and start doing it, I got time.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of people would be like, and then that would go to Reddit. It's like, hey, I got back and I got my gems and I got.
But I didn't get that.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I didn't get
that. Would be a whole other nightmare in addition.
Yeah.
So
and go ahead.
I was just gonna say the enough argument. I get it, but like from my point of view, like I said, if it happened to me, there is no it would have been enough. You know, like I don't know. I think it's good that they did it and they did exactly what they should do, but the enough argument is basically what I'm saying is it's a pointless argument because there is no real enough.
QED, I know you were saying that about but is that for the daily rewards, is that also if you sell the stuff? I thought if it was just the gold itself, it didn't equal the gem difference.
You have 2
I thought it was also you had to sell the daily rewards. But I wanted to talk about QD responds to that. Neko was bringing up the special unique that only give to people when there's a false band.
That's people would just try to get.
I was gonna say you're right back to Guild Wars 1 where they had Doom sliding people. People will purposely try to find a way to figure that out. So while that's a nice incentive for the people that are falsely banned, I don't know if they want to go that route.
And then you're gonna have people go like, "Oh, why did they get a special skin?" Blah blah blah.
That too, yeah.
Like you can't win at this point, right?
So the materials plus 2 gold. So you're making the assumption that the person's going to sell the materials, which not everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
I would say give me the materials. 9 months of materials.
Right.
Well, you make every legendary, so yeah, you would say
that. You know, I'll say this right now. You can give me the episodes, you give me the gems, but I would also like a Guild Wars 2 toaster.
There you go, ArenaNet.
I'll be good.
Send everybody who had a banned account, you have their addresses, whatever, a toaster.
Ship them a toaster. I could use a toaster, actually. So that'd be great.
Should Guild Wars 2 have jail instead? Well, I guess technically in game they do. They have the in Radisum, if that still is working, where if you get to that one spot, it kicks you into the prison.
Well, there's also like in Mind's Arch in that one area where Kanak was held in prison for a little bit. The cages.
Oh, apparently there's a lot more towns that have jails in them. Apparently that's
everywhere has a jail.
Technically, Divinity's Reach has a jail too, like the story step.
Yeah. Tyria is a dark place, apparently, we're finding out.
Does Holbrook have a jail?
Nah, we just have ale.
I don't remember there being a jail in there. I think that's just because people mess up, they beat them up and be like, behave.
I was going to say that it's kind of a fair point. Like, Holbrook is like the one place where they actually house their enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Sons of Svanir are in Holbrook.
Right.
Like while Radisum, I think, has their ones in there, didn't they leave or something? Like they left? Like they have representation in there, but I don't think they have like they have the section for the inquest, but I don't think they like teach in there anymore. I could be wrong, but
well, isn't one of the people on the council an inquest member?
Yeah, I was gonna say they have representation in the council, and they used to have a spot in Radisson, but I don't know if they have actually like inquest NPCs in that area.
No, I don't know.
Because I remember it's like, oh, there's the inquest, but you can't join them or something for
Right.
you know. But
Anyway,
I think
anyway, yeah, we're kind of go ahead.
I would say in the end, they apologize in terms of unbanning you and giving you stuff. Like, giving more is possible, but it comes with different effects, which are mostly negative in that respect. So
right.
it's like it's like either take it or leave it at that point. It's like either play again or play regular or play like every now and then, or just don't play still. Like,
right.
It's like doing something bad to a person in real life, apologizing for it, and it's either your apology is accepted or it's not. Like,
right. Like some things get broken and you can't fix them.
Yeah, and kind of like what we've been saying is like it's no matter what they do, it's like if they didn't do anything, they would have got yelled at. If they would have gave them everything, all the special stuff.
I hate you, Dave.
What?
As soon as you started talking at you, I was like, no,
it's like ArenaNet's screwed either way. If they give them all or nothing, they get yelled at about it. Speaking about all or nothing,
yeah.
Where
are you going with this, Dale?
They actually did something pretty interesting. They put a blog post out. It was called All or Nothing Requiem, and like we said before, we're not going to put up a spoiler tag, but if you haven't played All or Nothing, the most recent Living Story thing, this will involve the spoiler stuff.
If you haven't read it yet.
Weeks. Yes. Yeah, if you haven't read it yet, you definitely go read it. But they actually put out a blog post, and this week they've only had one of the three, but they are planning to do 3 people from a different perspective of what's happening after this last episode for All or Nothing. And it does contain spoilers, of course.
Yeah, from the silhouettes of the other two, I'm assuming the other two are Kaith and Zafira. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are pretty sure it's going to be. Kaith and Zafira, which if you're not familiar with I'm sure Kaith, Ben in Destiny's Edge, but the other person was part of two episodes ago.
Yeah,
it came up like 2 episodes ago as a character, and
if it's that one person who was sniping you.
Yes, the sniper lady.
But they actually had one of the creative partners, Jerem Jacinto, kind of create the work for this story. I don't know if they did all 3 or had different people. They didn't really specify that.
I think it's going to be different people for each one.
Okay, that's cool.
My understanding.
But they were also using Twine, which for people who don't know, I think we talked about it before. Like,
yeah,
I think ArenaNet got the idea from us, so it's cool. You could just put a little, like, thanks talking Skritt in there.
Yeah.
One of the stories might have a Skritt rocking cross. If they do, that's a subtle hint. Everybody know that ahead of time. That's no, but seriously, I think Arlie brought it up about when we were talking about maybe even having like a repertoire of work. If you ever want to show it off, one good way would be Twine, which kind of lets you create these narrative dialogues. But this is basically what they did, and it was really nice. It's basically kind of like you can click and keep continuing the story as you, depending on which things you click.
Right.
But yeah,
a lot of interesting tidbits about Ritlock. Like, I never realized he was a runt. Like, considered a runt. I don't know if they'd revealed that before and I just missed it or what, but that's interesting backstory because that really like sets up part of his mentality. It's like one of those things, like the way people are picked on as kids often carries on into their adulthood and affects how they deal with things. It's a very clear example with Ritlock there. Thought that was interesting.
I read the synopsis bit.
You didn't actually read it?
No, because I was going to read it, but it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I had to go out today. So, but
To buy Kingdom Hearts.
Amongst other things, yes. But it's just from the synopsis alone, you gather a lot of how he's felt over the past couple of years with, grouping up with other people and things like that. And it's just like, it seems like he felt defeated in some respect.
Right.
Well, and that was the amazing thing. He was confused, but also was defeated. Like when he starts reminiscing about it, then he does feel defeated, but he's confused by and once again, spoiler for, the last episode. If you haven't left yet, when Irene is like killed, and Ritlock is actually saying like, I don't know why they're crying over a dragon.
Right. Yeah.
Like
what?
It's and I was like, Ritlock, we've been cool this whole time. Why you gotta be like that? Like,
yeah. But I like the process he went through, working through all of it. It was very real. It was a very understandable thought process he went through, and understanding the history and the choices he's made, and like his role in things, and then getting to a point where he understood why people were upset about Irene.
Which, speaking of like choices being made, this is where they told us how he got the sword. Where he
Which
got,
I'm kind of upset about.
Yeah.
I wanted to like a great and heroic thing with him getting it, and it was kind of like, I don't know, like he kind of like stabbed his partner in the back ish, like, I don't know.
I was gonna say, in a way, I think his partner stabbed themselves in the back.
She did. No, she stabbed him in the leg to maintain
stabbed him in the leg.
cover.
Okay, that was it.
But he forced her into that position. They were there undercover, and he, like, I don't know, he decided to throw it all away for the sword, which.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I think everybody was like, "Oh, he must have went down to the Fire Island chain," but apparently it was the Flame Legion that went down and got it, and they were infiltrating the Flame Legion, and that's when he got that sword. But I was like, that's it? You popped down to Costco and bought
and you stole it. Yay.
Yeah. And you said you don't want to be part of Ash.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was slightly disappointed in that, because it was like a kind of a lead up to that, and it's like, oh, but and I see some people saying in chat like, hopefully we'll get like a Fractal of the Mists with the sword type thing. I'd like to see that section, and that's why I was like, personally for me, and this is my question to like everybody, even chat, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to hear. Do you like that they made this a blog post? Like, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen this in game, especially because I feel like one thing that's missing out of Living Stories, and maybe it's because we only get it so intermittently, they have to make it feel I don't want to say like worth it in like in a negative way,
right?
But they put a lot of action into it. But I think one thing I liked about season 1, and I will say with an asterisk, was like the downtime.
The first 4 months.
Well, the downtime of you actually just talking with the people and getting like when or even after season 2 when we defeated Scarlet, and we go back to the tavern, and like we kind of get like little bits here and there. But like I said, little asterisks with it. Not the downtime of going to fix signs for months on end. That no. But like you hear their discussion, like his internal monologue, but also his dialogue with Logan. It's like as I was reading that, I was like hearing them go back and forth. I was like, oh my god, I would love to have heard this. Like,
Which, by the way, the whole symbolic thing of Logan picking up the sword and giving it back to Ritlock is pretty big too, because like that's a callback to when they first saw it, and Logan was mad at Ritlock for having the sword. Like, how dare you have that sword? You're a char. What is wrong with you? And it's a kind of a testament to the journey that they've gone through, where like that's no longer a thing. Like, if you remember back during the personal story, there was a part where Air actually wanted to fix the other sword to give to Logan to be a bonding and kind of repair that rift that had been created between them. Which, one, that's a terrible plan, but two, like that's an example of like what these swords meant, you know.
I just realized the irony of that. They wanted to recreate one sword to mend a rift, and Ritlock's opened up a rift.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with Neko. My perception of it is like I always prefer things to be in game. I would love to play through it. And even the introspective stuff, I like getting to understand the thought processes of characters. But like, they only have so much time and dev time to put into stuff, and you know, there's people like me who like the story and like the character development, but then there's a lot of people who just want to play through and bash things and get the new stuff. So they have to balance it. They can't have it too much on either end. And so if the choice is between never seeing these stories or only getting things in game, I would prefer to like get it like this. It's better than nothing.
And yeah, I know how Chad's saying like kind of going back is making it feel like tacked on and strange. If that's the case, we're to maybe get a little bit more money for ArenaNet, do bonus mission packs again, like they did in Guild Wars 1, where it had like the story gap of some, like, granted a lot, like the one was like between main story and Eye of the North, but it's like some had the fight between Joko and Asa, right? Yeah, try Asa. So like, I don't know, I mean, granted, yes, like, I would like to
the story and sell it in the gem store.
If that would be a way for them to get it in the game and maybe set it up to the rules of how they do living stories, where if you not like if you're there for it, it unlocks for free, but if you have you can take a friend with you and they can see the game, play through it, but they don't get like, maybe there's like a special skin at the end, you know, whatever.
Or the achievements or whatever.
Yeah, but they can't earn those unless they have it unlocked. But I don't know, it just for me feels like a crime that we really don't have the lull moments in the story, because it just seems like action. And it's like, ugh. Right. I don't know.
Well, that's one of the things I was saying too, why one of the reasons why the memorial for Air was so important to me, because it was a moment to reflect on everything that happened and to say goodbye to this character. But it also gave us a chance to have actual conversations with the other characters about how things affected them. And that's something that I think we should have more of.
Yeah. Because I think that's where the character building is. It like, because a lot of times it's like they try to put character building in like an action moment, and it's like it's kind of weird. Like, you're facing like an enemy. It's like, yeah, you're standing there with Bram, and he's like, you know, I never really talked to my mother. Wait, what? Right now? Really? Right this second? Now. Like,
yeah. Or even better, you're fighting with Bram. He's like, I've always been afraid of spiders, and you're like, what? Really? Seriously? Like, come on. Like,
yes,
how many spiders have we
also
fought?
gave us Ritlock trombone, so that's why we need the lull, like the easy, like, kind of just story building moments.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Age? We've been dominating.
I would just say that if anything, I would have liked this as like a kind of like a cutscene type of deal. They can use images to kind of portray this story. And like, obviously you can exit whenever you want, but like, I felt like that would have been really cool
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it could have brought out a lot more impact as well, because voice actors can, make it really good, as well as the imagery.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice, but like, so one of the things about the last episode is having it end with that, like, the finality of the, like, I don't know what we do moving on, just gave it a lot of weight and like gravity, and made it like that was like the final punch of, oh God, what now? And as much as like having this as a cutscene would be nice, I feel like if it was part of that episode, it would have kind of diluted that a bit,
No, I didn't mean it as part of an episode. I meant as part of, it's been like 3 weeks. Here's the next part of the story. Like,
okay.
Now that would have been cool to do. Like if they tapered the like, because I agree with what you're saying. Is like it would have made you kind of forced you to move past that moment, but that you should. Yeah. It should have ended there. Yeah. Like
that was the perfect ending. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it would have been awesome, but
current events.
Yeah, I have to imagine though that like when you have the animation budget and then voice acting budget, that would come into play there, because either way, regardless, you have the writing budget, so that's a nil, regardless of how you do that. But then doing it in game like that, you would have those aspects, which was unfortunately a concern because games are a business.
Yeah, it'd be totally worth it, I think, though.
No,
it's like,
but
this is this is not the worst thing in the world, obviously, because we're getting a story.
Right.
It is the easiest option, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to showcase like artists in the community, so I know.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like that they pulled in community partners for it.
And I think they'll be fine once they implement our idea of fan Foley work, because then they can lead into fan voice acting work, and boom, the game runs itself.
There were a lot of people who did not like the Chains and Rocks' voice. I feel like people would not react well to fan voice work.
Oh, you wouldn't like it if all of a sudden he pops up and goes, "I'm Ritlock now. Hey guys.
I'm Ritlock. Hi.
I won a contest. Give me my sword."
That's all I got.
Yeah. But okay, maybe they stop there. But yeah, no, I kind of agree with Chad. Like, and I understand it's like it probably wouldn't have been in game, or it probably wouldn't have existed if it weren't through this. It's just unfortunate that it couldn't. Like, we need to somehow give ArenaNet infinite money so they can just do that. Like, where's the cheat code for that? Like,
right.
So they can just do everything.
Transitioning to Jumpstore, I'm like, damn, that was fast. Like,
I'm skipping it all. But speaking of transitions, would that be too meta?
That would be a little bit, yeah.
But no, we were talking about that being one of the issues was voice acting, potentially. Well, I mean, speaking of voice acting, their most recent guild chat, they were actually on location, which I was actually surprised with. They were live from the Dave and Dave recording studios in Burbank, California. And of course, it had Ruby as the host. I know Tom Abernathy, who's the narrative director, was in there, and they were kind of doing it in the booth, which was kind of interesting. Eve Eschenbacher, hopefully I'm saying the name right. I do apologize. English voiceover lead, Tom Callahan, the producer at Blind Light, and they actually had two voice actors there. They had Julie Nathanson, and also Matt Mercer. So, but it was once again it was kind of like a guild chat where it was like behind the scenes stuff, kind of on location behind the scenes. But yeah, I think it was definitely cool, especially hearing kind of. I don't know, I guess it was like even better hearing like Matt Mercer and Julie Nathanson talk, like because I don't know, maybe you always feel like when you see like the behind the scenes, behind the voices ones, it's like maybe it's like either edited differently, it's you just see the people just talking off the cuff for, you know, right then and there. So I don't know. I definitely like that. Definitely more male Norn player character involvement. I think
that's the takeaway.
Yes. But yeah, you know, once again, I think it was just awesome to hear kind of behind the scenes and, like I said, on location, you know, dealing with, you know, apparently they're recording something. What could it be? Maybe they're doing this scene. They pre-heard our cries for it.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But any thoughts on the guild chat? I mean,
I just like voice acting in general.
Yeah.
It's always fun to. It's fun to know about the process and, you know, just what people's idea for different characters or different situations and how they kind of channel that. It's always fun.
Chat's saying they did say they were recording the next episode. Yeah, and honestly, if they had like the male Norn player, I would imagine, because it would be kind of random, unless Matt Mercer's doing another voice. I mean, because I mean,
he's doing all the voices now, so.
Hey, that's one way we can get the typed out stories. Just have one person do the whole voices, all the voices.
Like the table readings when they're reading, the writers are reading the parts.
Yeah, exactly.
His voice would be dead and he would not be able to do other jobs.
Yes.
Which will be perfect. By the time it heals, he'll be able to come back to do another Guild War 2 take. It's the perfect plan.
Does Critical Role still go on? Because I don't want to be the person who gets Critical Role like temporarily.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, Critical Role's still going on. And I was gonna say, like, he does do a lot of different voices and that kind of stuff. So he, you know, he'd be ready for it. Chat saying, I thought Nolan North was all the voices. That's every other game. Matt Mercer gets this one. That's the rule now.
Right.
But
yeah, no, anytime like getting to see the voice acting stuff and hearing from them and their perspective on things it's fun. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't
want a guild chat where we get to talk to the programmers and stuff. Like, I still want that.
Wait, what would you want to know about in general?
Just like what it's like to do programming on a MMO, like how it works, like how they go from, hey, can we do this, to going, I don't know, let's see how we do that. Like,
oh, did you see there was one guild chat with I think it was with different movement of spiders.
Yeah, they did have one of them on. That was cool. I would just like more focusing on that in general. Like, that would be nifty.
That would be pretty cool.
I still want one with art.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they can make it work.
Oh, I'm sure they have so much art, like probably even art we've never seen laying around that they
or allowed to see.
Or allowed to see. This is true.
But yeah, I really like the guild chats that are kind of more behind the scenes, because I think it's more. You don't have to you don't necessarily have to worry about spoilers or anything. I mean. Mm-hmm. I don't think they really talked spoilers in it because they were focusing on the voice acting stuff, but
yeah.
But I think they did announce during Guild Chat that they were actually starting the Friendships 2019.
Ah, jeez.
And yeah, there's been mixed reactions to it.
I mean, it went over so well last year.
Yeah.
Should we explain for people who don't know?
Yeah, it's no T-app, but you know, it was something. So basically how it works is you can share basically your story as a text post, include screenshots or even do like a video. And all you got to do is tag it with hashtag GW2Friendships on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, or Facebook. And they'll kind of just maybe or they'll just kind of put them all on a special page on the Guild Wars 2 website. But they are also doing a giveaway in with that. So if you do this, make sure to add the hashtag GW2 giveaway, and you will be qualifying for the post to enter for the sweepstakes, where 20 winners will receive 800 gems, 5 winners will receive a custom art commission from the creative partners, and 1 grand prize winner will win a trip for 2 to Gamescom 2019. Woo. But yeah, basically it's kind of to show off relationships that have been that were discovered and were established in Guild Wars 2.
Right.
Which I think this is where I think it's interesting looking back at last year's. A lot of people were angry about the one in particular where it was...
Oh, the streamer.
Yeah. Basically one of the streamers kind of got her, I guess, big break, a lot of her following in Guild Wars 2. And notably one person who was really supportive and helping her out. And there was a nice little moment. She was streaming at one of the conventions, and her community surprised her by bringing this fan, or this person that supported them, and it was a nice little moment. They met for the first time and hung out.
Right.
And of course, the internet being the internet was kind of a bit cynical with it, because yes, it was a younger lady who was streaming and an older individual who was supporting the her entertainment. But that is unfounded and all that stuff. But what was interesting about it was, supposedly she actually came out and said how ArenaNet approached her. And back in I think January when this was February when the thing happened, saying that they wanted to do this piece on her and stuff like that. And
right.
Which was interesting, because this was wasn't this supposed to be part of the giveaway thing, or?
No, this was kind of a side thing. They had 4 different videos like this, 3, 4 ones.
Yeah, I think there were 4.
Yeah, it was a guild, those 2, and I think a couple.
Yeah, I think one that actually was a relationship that got married. And...
Yeah. So it's just just those weren't part of the giveaways. It's just more
And I think that's the important thing to note, was I think people are combining the two, but I think the ones they showed off were them showing what they wanted to see.
Right.
Things like that.
Examples.
Pretty sure they're not eligible.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me about this is I hate that they write friends/ships, because in the fandom world, ships are a very specific thing. Ships are when you want 2 people who aren't necessarily together, characters or whatever, to be together and a thing, which applying that to real people bothers me. It's kind of creepy.
Arlie doesn't like the semantics of it.
No, I don't. I wish they did friendships and relationships or something.
So what you're insinuating is
bothers me.
So what you're insinuating is, because they put up in their blog post, they have the Guild Wars 2 friend/ships, and they have 2 Quaggins and then Timey. So what they're you know what? Only the internet.
I ship Blish and Timey.
You ship Blish and a Timey? Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, luckily you're not alone. I see. I didn't know the ins and outs of the shipping type thing, but wow, that brings that image to a whole new meaning.
I watch anime. I know what shipping is. I first saw that, I'm like, huh, okay, that's not what okay.
Right. The whole shipping area of fandoms is interesting and sometimes depressing, because people get really angry. But just the way
this is right in this wheelhouse. Everybody got really angry from this last time.
Right.
So I guess it's on point.
Yeah. I really wish they would not write it differently, because it hurts my brain. But aside from that, like the whole idea of focusing on like, you know, various kinds of relationships that found their way in Guild Wars 2 is a good thing. It's awesome. It's one of the best things about MMOs. It's something that they can do that other types of games can't do as easily, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this is so." It's like I don't think the advertisement's for us. Like it's to show off the community to the outside public. Like, oh look, it's a friendly community.
Yeah. I mean, WoW did something similar recently too, where they did a bunch of videos showing off the various kind of relationships that people had in their community. So it's not like an unusual thing. Like I said, for me, specifically with ArenaNet, my issue is the way that they write it. It bothers me because it seems to imply something it should not apply to me. So that's it.
But yeah, I think the contest is pretty cool. You know, you can possibly get 800 gems, or all the way up to, nice custom art, or all the way up to a trip to Gamescom.
Depends where you live. Yeah, I don't think I'm eligible for the Gamescom thing, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, laws being the way they are, there's always exclusions.
Yeah, that's always the downside to that stuff. So that's the important thing. Always read the fine print, because
unless it's just like anybody can enter except H. Screw that guy.
Oh, couldn't they make that a blog post? That'd be that would. Oh my god, that would be in every episode if like that. If that was in the fine print, like except for H Night Road.
Guys, you didn't see this in pre-show for those of you watching on YouTube, but Arla's picking on me. Please help me. Send help.
That would be the most hilarious thing ever.
It would be amazing.
Oh man, I could pay my own way to Gamescom then. Fine. Damn.
An ageless competition, yes. Yes, thank you.
Man, that would be hilarious.
Should I just
I love your age.
It's mutual, I guess.
You can show off that love and friendship if you log into Guild Wars 2 throughout the month of February and visit the city of Lion's Arch. You will get an exclusive, or an achievement and an endless friendship tonic to show how much you care. So there you go, you guys.
Tonic.
Is that from last year?
What's a friendship tonic?
It's a tonic for friendship.
I mean, what does it do? Tonics usually turn you into something. What does it turn you into?
I think it
just puts the hearts above your head.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't remember if I have that.
I was like, do you like target somebody in game and it turns you into them? Like, I don't understand.
This kind of shows, like, reveals a little bit of light of how Arlie thinks of friendships. Like, I'm going to stalk them and wear their skin. Like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Log
yeah.
Ooh, we learned a lot about Arlie this episode.
I logged in yesterday. I didn't get the thing, so I wonder if it's starting Tuesday or something. Does anyone know?
It should. I think it should have started. I thought.
I'll try tonight, but if anything, it's probably on Tuesday if I.
Yeah, I was trying to think, because usually when the dailies switch over on January, 31st, it would have
right at
should
the
counted as February. So
yeah.
You did it yesterday?
Yeah, you should have.
I did it yesterday at reset. Maybe I don't know. I'll try again today. If not, probably Tuesday.
Well, I wonder if anybody out there got it, but you can put that in your. Shouldn't you be? Hopefully, that will go into your. What is it, Gizmo thing? Whatever they call it. The toy button.
Novelties.
That's it. Does it go in there?
I think so. I would imagine so.
Okay. Okay, and chat saying it is the same thing as last year. So
Oh
if you
yeah,
already have it,
that would make sense too.
That would make sense. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking. It was like, well, do I have this from last year? Okay.
that's
Cool.
all right. Any final thoughts on the friendships 2019? And
Nope, I think we pretty well covered it.
I think we already heard everything we need to hear about friendships.
I'd have to imagine that if you destroyed the one for last year and thus don't have it in your novelties, you should get it this year, because
hopefully,
it would do some kind of check to see if you have it. That's the only way you wouldn't get it if you did it this year, you know?
Yeah. Send the ticket to support if you have troubles. Like if you have the achievement, but you don't have the item.
Right.
Pretty much.
well, I mean, you know, friendship's all about happy stuff, and this is next topic is slightly happy, but it is sad for the ArenaNet, you know, and Guild Wars too. But
Yep.
Chris Watt, aka Blackline Chess, is actually leaving ArenaNet. Was 3 years as a web programmer at ArenaNet, known for his work on the book interface.
Right.
So great. But basically kind of tweeted out this past week, you know, today was my last day at ArenaNet. Lots of big feelings. Very, very grateful for all the amazing friends I've made over the last few years. Excited to start our trip down to California next week. So, and
it's exciting for him.
Yeah, no, it's awesome for him. You know, it's sad that, you know, has to leave ArenaNet, but yeah, hopefully it's for good reasons.
It's been 3 years since he started there, because
Yeah.
I personally clearly remember him starting and what that was like. And for me to be like, wow, that was 3 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if we covered it, or like I remember like the tweet of like, oh, I'm going to work at ArenaNet. So it's like, geez.
Yeah, I think he started in January 2016.
Yeah, that's about right. Because it was like right after Hot launched, like not right after, but you know, soon after.
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's crazy though.
So I mean, yeah, we wish Chris all the luck, and you know, can't wait to hear what they have planned for their new job. Yeah.
Right.
It's in California. What's in California? Everybody scramble.
Nothing's in California.
There are 2 Amazon game studios actually.
There are no things in California. Nothing exists there.
There's
it's a desolate wasteland.
Wow. I'm learning too much about you today. There's the voice recording studio.
Oh, yeah.
That was in Burbank, California.
Well, the other question is if he's still doing web development for whoever he's going to, like, or if he's doing something different.
That'd be interesting too.
Maybe he's going to like a company to work on their like web-based store, so people can spend things.
Oh, Jesus.
I just like saying stuff to see how Age gets so sad by it. Speaking of, you know, buying things on website store like things, this was a horrible transition. I regret it now. Gem store.
You've done a terrible thing.
Always thank you, Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. First up, we have the Shrine Guardian outfit, and it is for 700 gems. And it is an outfit, so once again, all or nothing. You can hide the helmet, or in this case, ears.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder what you guys think of this. Like, it dies wonderfully, but
oh, that's the red and the black. That's really
nice.
It kind of reminds me of the monk skin a little bit, but like with a little bit more flair to it, I guess. I really like the patterns on the skirts and like and on the back as well. The ears are those ears or wings?
Ears or wings?
Yeah, like
they're like cat ears.
Okay. Because like I saw like extra.
His wings are usually on the back, not on your head.
Until that.
Unless you're lightheaded.
Oh my god.
No, that was.
Wow.
Anyway, I like it. It looks cool.
Mm-hmm. I think it's nifty.
Yeah, like I said, I think like the design looks great. It looks like it dies beautifully from the shots. Personally, I couldn't see it on any of my characters, but like I said, if someone is going for that cat-like look type thing, or even if you hide the head slot, it still kind of looks like that.
It's a cool
if you're kind of going for
outfit,
maybe a Canthan theme type thing.
What's really nice is the auras on the feet and the arm as well.
Yeah.
And on the males, you have like that waistband. It looks really nice.
And like Chad says, it looks decent, but still is an outfit. I know that is one of the important things to note, that it is an outfit, so you can't mix or match anything. But
right.
Yeah.
But also,
I almost feel like I have to get it since I have the Guardian mount skin.
Yeah, and I think they brought it back for this. So if you kind of want to get it all in one go, but I mean, then if it sounds like if you're going to get this, you got to kind of complete the look.
Right.
You also get the Shrine Guardian mini for 400 gems.
It's so adorable.
Minis. I mean,
that's a cool mini. I'll admit.
It is a nice mini.
I like the little trails it leaves. It's like great.
But and I think, isn't there a bundle for this one?
I think so, because I remember reading something about if you have parts of it, the amount will be reduced.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yes, it's the so yeah, you get the Shrine Guardian outfit, a mini Shrine Guardian, an Onyx and Gold Line weapon choice, a total makeover kit, and 5 Crimson Line die kits. But like Chat was saying, it is kind of unfortunate that the mount is not included in that, so that's important to note. But they did bring it back for this.
Makes sense, because if they had sold a mount by itself and then later put it as part of a bundle, that kind of screws over the people who bought the mount. Like,
unless it was a flex bundle, but like,
right, but that mount was 2,000 gems.
If it was 2,000, yeah. So
yeah, it's like, what's the flex bundle? You get these for free,
right?
Also, I think it's better to separate it, just because having a lower price is much better than just having a higher price overall.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, along the lines of the bundle, it's like, if you want to get the mini and the outfit, of course, the weapon choice is always a nice thing. Total makeover kit, I mean, I've got stacks of them.
Great.
In the end, I think we say it all the time. If you're looking at the Crimson Lion die kits, once again, that's
not
chance.
One.
Yeah, they're not. You can't choose the one you want. It's a chance at possibly like the 5 or so that are exclusive to it, but also like the 20 that are common in all of the game. So you will be taking the risk on those. But so it's a nice little added bonus, but I wouldn't say get that if you're only wanting the die kits.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, if you just want the outfit, I would get the outfit by itself. The Onyx and Gold weapon skins are nice, but like, I can live with that personally.
But yeah, definitely pick that up. And any final thoughts on the Shrine Guardian stuff in general? Perfect summary there. Last up, we have Community Corner, and this week we have a video from Games Love and Life. She actually put out this past week a low-level gold farm in Kessex Hills. It's her episode 6 one, and I like it because it kind of does have a breakdown of depending on what level you are, low-level wise. Like, I think it starts, I want to say like 15ish, like it does like 15 to 16, and then like the 19 to whatever's, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Oh, and she's in chat, so there you go. But
well, it was funny, Eric. Right as you mentioned her name, she talked. It was a great timing thing.
Oh, okay. And there's the link in chat, and if you're watching this on YouTube, we have the link in we'll have the link in the description. It's kind of one of those things, like, especially if you just started the game, maybe returned after a long mandatory break from established by ArenaNet. However you are taking the break and you're low level, hey, if you want to start earning that gold, so maybe you can switch it to gems or saving up for a legendary, so when you hit 80 you can maybe get a legendary instantly. Who knows what your intentions are, but start grinding that gold from the get-go. I don't want to talk too much about the video, because you definitely got to go watch it and find all the awesome spots. But any thoughts on Games Love and Life's video?
Well, thanks for the tutorials that you do.
It's awesome.
It helped. A lot of people undervalue tutorials sometimes. Because when I make them, I know a lot of people give me feedback about it, so it helps them out. So it's good stuff. So
right. Tutorials are awesome too, because unlike a lot of content, they often they stay relevant for a longer period of time. So you can put it out there, and then people maybe years later will look it up and it'll be useful to them. So tutorials are great.
Yeah.
But
I forgot. Tournament of Legends is next week.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that. So you could pretty much look up Tournament of Legends 2019, and you'll probably find it. If you want in on that, sign up. There's a lot of, and this is a ArenaNet sponsored tournament, so you get.
Oh yeah, that's the one where you get your choice of a legendary, right?
Yeah.
Anything, if you win first place, you get any legendary except Eternity, and that includes Joe.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Except Eternity, whatever. I'm out. I was gonna do it, but now I'm not.
Okay.
Well, that's when you just have to go back to back, because apparently you're going to be doing this every year. Hopefully, first year you win one half, second year you win the other half, and you combine it yourself. Right. That's the PvP champion right there. They just go, bam! I did it myself.
Whoa.
I already did it myself.
And that's why you're the PvP champion. Jeez, Age, you're screwing us all up.
I didn't even PvP for it, but okay. Those underwater. I'm actually making Frenzy right now.
Oh, please tell me there's a PvP player that wins the championship and just goes, I'll take the underwater legendary, and they're like, you serious? This is permanent. There's
right.
It's like, yeah. I don't have to force myself to make an underwater legendary.
Well, that's why you use Monica's, Games Love and Life's gold farming video. You get the money, so you just buy it outright, because they didn't, we didn't get underwater legendaries in the second gen.
Oh, yeah, they're probably around 1,200 now.
So not to switch topics or anything, but have we gotten all of the second gen legendaries now?
No.
Okay.
No, we're still out 3.
So we're missing possibly Great Sword. What else are we missing? We're missing a Scepter. No, we have Scepter.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah,
Scepter.
I'm trying to think too. I'm like, only missing Greatsword. Wow, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what chat's saying. Because I was starting to go through my head. I was like, no, we just had a longbow, and I was like, no. I was like, pistol, no.
Yeah, it's just Greatsword.
Okay, so we're pretty close then. All right.
Because I don't think they'll do underwater. If they do underwater, they're just going to give them out to us all at once, I feel like.
Right.
Oh, I thought you meant they're
Oh
literally
wait,
just going
no,
to give
they
them to people.
said specifically a while ago, like when Colin was still there, that they were not doing underwater ones as the set.
Yeah. You could still make the Gen 1s still have tentacles. Kraken is a Hydra base. Close enough.
Look at that. Lots of ways to either farm for a legendary or, just win a PvP tournament. How hard is that?
It's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, in NA, it probably is.
Wow.
I'm going to get so much flack for that. Anyway.
I'm going to boost the volume on that one. All right. Well, that looks like that is it for this week. Robin, where can they find you?
On Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Arlie82.
Awesome. And Age, where can they find you?
Twitch and YouTube at Age Night Road. I'm not here next week. I'll be in Miami.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a good time. Well, I'm going for a conference, but I'm gonna have a good time.
Have fun nonetheless. You'll be in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy yourself. We'll hold down the fort.
Yeah.
And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. And if you are just popping at the very end, do stick around. We do a bit of an after show. And if you want to watch this in full, we do highlight this on Twitch. If you're watching here, it's at this location, twitch.tv/MAAD, 2 A's in the MAAD. If you do prefer YouTube, if that's your preferred method, we put it up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific at youtube.com/MAAD. If you want it all in one nice little cozy location, nice little package, just go to our website, maadrealms.com. I was going to say .clom. Don't try .clom. I don't know where that'll go. Can we get that handle? We'll have to mark it on. Anyway, .com. So maadrealms.com. Let's just all do that in one nice fell swoop there. And we do actually have the audio version of this podcast on there. I know people have always wanted it, so there you go. We do other shows on here, so it does pay to follow us on Twitch and Twitter at MAAD Realms or MAAD Realms all the way through. But yeah, if that looks like that is it for this week. We'll see everybody next time, and we'll see you in the game. Good night, everybody.